somebody who was born in 80s, I could not relate to the Pakistan you were telling me. And what I was actually thinking at that time, and I kind of changed my talking points, because I think you have covered what we had in past. But as somebody who grew in 80s, all that I could see was chaos till to date, sluggish economy, bad governance, or I would say unstable governance or government, one after the other. Then polarization, Islamization. This is all that we got as youngsters of 80s, or I would say children of 80 and then growing up in 90s. So I mean, it is important. Why is character building important? Because if you lose character, you lose a generation. But fortunately, we didn't. And I think one of the major points for that was that we had our family institution intact. And we were fortunate that way. But now, it'll be very late if we do not invest in our youth. And it's a rhetoric, and we all know that every now and then it's the opening of the speech that we have youth bulge, and we very proudly sort of flaunt it. But the window of opportunity is very small. And we all know that this window of opportunity, if not availed, would become a burden. And I'm not very disappointed with the current government when it comes to youth, because I happen to be actually working with Usman Dar in past few days and months. And they have come up with this program, Kamyab Jawan, and many of the things that Sajid has been mentioning. As an old colleague, I also know him. So he has been mentioning those things, and I think many of these things they have tried to harness. But let's see how it unfolds, and I was also sort of part of that. I have some humble suggestions to put on table rather than actually just beating the drum that what issues we have right now. We all know what they are. I think one of the things which youth lack right now is role models. We do not have role models. The kind of role models which are portrayed in media or in our education system, in our curricula, are mostly, I would just take names, but Khadim Rizvi, for example. Or we have corrupt and powerful are respected in the society. So why shouldn't I, by any means, earn and become a powerful, rich person to just acquire that respect in society? So we need to actually practice what we preach, and this has to come from top down and not bottom up, because that is not what we need. Then, of course, education system, we all know, and sir, you also mentioned, but it's not only the formal education, but also the informal education. And apologies to media representatives sitting here, not that you guys are doing that, but mostly we see that education has become a business, and so has media, and they feed on each other. So basically what we are doing right now is in media, we are projecting what is sellable and not exactly what would add to character building. And on the other side, if we talk about education, we have privatized it. There are private schools. We don't have public education as strong as it was. And now what we see is that every now and then you see in private schools you go, you don't have any moral education. I'm sorry. It's all about, okay, what you have to, the book that has been given to you, and you just have to learn and pass your exam. And also the fact that our education system is just teaching for us to get a job, but not actually for us to become good individuals. I studied from a missionary school, Presentation Convent, from in the same society I grew, but I was fortunate that my father had that kind of vision, and maybe he had that kind of placing in the society that he could educate me that way. But what about others? When I entered college, I could see that contrast. It was so visible. So our education system needs overhaul, literally overhaul. Then change in the system overall. I mean, it's it's not a merit-based system. So again, going back to what I said, if I'm powerful, I'll be able to gain or get what I want. But if I have all the qualities, I might not be able. So don't you think this adds to despair within in the youth? I mean, I'll just quote example of a helper at my place. I mean, I think I was hardly 15 or 16 when her son started, obviously my mother used to help because her children were, getting education, and she didn't have anybody educated in her family, and all her hopes were with him. But as he grew up, He was not able to get job, and he was just running around. So what do you think? She invested her entire life in educating that one person. So we also need to, nepotism and all of this, we all know whatever is there. Then another last suggestion that I would like to put on table is dialogue. Our society requires dialogue. Dialogue, because what I mean by dialogue is have the tolerance, have the patience to listen to another perspective. Here somebody was talking about religion and all of that. Yes, religion is something important for us as Pakistanis, but there is 5% of minorities. And in education system, and I was doing my research on minority education, I was really completely shocked to read certain chapters in our old curricula, which actually were very biased. They're unsung heroes who are not Muslims. They are not there. And many other things. We all know what is there. So maybe dialogue is something that we need to foster. We need to bring together people from different perspectives and sort of promote that kind of tolerance. So these are some humble suggestions, and thank you very much.